Hi. Normally when I'm up on stage, I usually just sing or say a couple of words and then be done with it. And I've done a lot of introduction for other people too. But to be here on stage today and have this whole talk by myself and about myself is very terrifying. We're here today at TEDx because we believe that there are ideas that are worth spreading, right? I'm skeptical though. I am curious to be exact. And I have this one question for all of us today to answer together. Do you believe that the stories of everyone is worth listening to? Maybe it's a story of a vegan activist, a conservative old man, and award-winning actors, Elon Musk, Madonna, Kanye West, Beyonce, or a generic working man who hates his job, or a high school dropout whose dream is to become a rapper. Throughout a series of events, I have crafted this introduction that I think will gain people's attention. Hi, my name is Prown. I am 23 years old, and I just graduated from the University of Thammasat, and my faculty is political science. I graduated from my major of international relations, and my minor is international political economy. Throughout all my social medias, I have at least 400,000 followers, and within a year, my YouTube gained at least 1 million views. I am also a lead singer of a music band who recently signed a record offer with a famous record label in Thailand. I made my first million baht when I was 21. And while doing all of that, I graduated with a first degree honor. Does any of this better advertise my worth of being here on stage? Does it boost your interest in me a tiny bit? And it's funny because there's no blinking indicators that we have of numbers up here, but we do change the way we see people when we are made aware of it. And I'm here to explore why. Let's take a road down our memory lane to our childhood, because childhood is very vital, and childhood dictates who we are as a person. I was born right with the Asian financial crisis. When I was 3, a World Trade Center collapsed from 9/11. When I was 5, a SARS pandemic broke out in China. And the world was in distress, and so were my parents, who came from a traditional Thai and Chinese family. I remember that I always craved for love or affections or acceptance of some sort, because they weren't very good at that, because they too were the product of Cold War and the tough love generations. I also remember not to be able to do so many things in life because I was born as a girl. And sometimes it's like a permanent mark that I have on me. And no matter how much I try to rub it off, it just doesn't come off. And becoming a woman doesn't really help, because a woman is like a girl. They're less, they're vulnerable, they're in need of protection, and their voice is softer. Verbal abuse was a normality in my house. My dad used to always say that he would wish every night to wake up to see me in the morning. Shouting was normal, and I got locked in a bedroom so many times for punishment. I also remember my mom using me to go entertain my dad or go apologize for her, and to me that is too a normal thing. Because of course, as a child, I didn't know what was supposed to be abnormal. We never really talk about the things that I love. We do not talk about the world, and we don't express our negative feelings. In fact, I never really got asked what I wanted to talk about. We only talk about school. And believe me, a child's love is very, very unconditional. We love our parents regardless. We love them no matter they're rich or poor or how crazy they are. And oftentimes, it is the parents' love that are very conditional. We have to be a good girl, a good boy, be obedient, got good grade in school, get into high-ranking universities. You have to be straight, cannot be gay, but if you're gay, do not tell them. You have to walk the career path that's been laid out for you. And at the end of the day, you have to come back and take care of them, no matter how miserable your life was because of them. So yeah, let's move on to school. I did really well in school because it was quite easy for me. Not the courses, of course, but the school system was quite easy to crack. My perfect GPA was only 20% my true understanding of the courses, but the rest 80% were my understanding of the teachers who wrote the exams and the grading system itself. For example, one book can be summarized into 1 to 2 main ideas. One chapter leaves you just a couple of more words to memorize for the choices exam. I always ask the teacher about 1 to 2 weeks before, after the semester starts, so that I know what's going to be on the exam, but you're not directly asking them right before the exam. They've been doing this for a long time, and they know what they like to write on the exam. For class assignments, it's quite easy. You don't really need to be interested in anything that you're doing. You don't have to put your all into it. All you need to do is to ask around what other people are doing, make tiny cost and benefits analysis, and just make a slight better efforts. That will get you higher marks. I don't recall learning something useful I can use in my adulthood from high school, but I do learn one reoccurring theme that shows throughout all my life. That everyone is obsessed with some kind of numbers, names, and titles without even knowing what that meant. It's like from the moment we started to speak and are able to walk, we move from GPA to honorable jobs to how many friends can fit into one pictures and likes and followers, and to how many people would come to your funeral. And I also noticed that people treat me very differently, even though they were the same people I knew for a long time after my YouTube career kicked off. They suddenly became nicer to me. And I earned all I ever wanted, right? But sometimes it's not about the messages I stand for. I've been saying the same thing for as long as I remember, but I am adored for how loud I can say it. It's like now that I gained the market legitimacy, now I can be heard. I also remember when the TEDx team contacted me, they asked a really, really simple question. They asked, Prown, what do you want to talk about? It's wild, I do not know. I have no idea. Because all my life, I've been only doing one thing. I've been chasing a set of standards to be qualified enough to be heard. And when the moment comes, I just don't know anymore what I stand for or my messages could be. It's like these numbers, these names and titles, I memorized too hard. It was because I liked the way people look back at me with admirations. Admirations for what, right? It's that look we give young adults who success on the adult term. We're congratulating them without ever asking whether they like themselves as they are or because we give them a positive reaction. It's that look we give children who are forced to grow out of their age, to be working for their full family, to be a great entertainer, or to be the voice for others. And why is it such a glorious thing to enter into the economic system as fast as we can? What's scary is even death, it does not do us part. I remember that when I was an exchange student in the US, in the United States, there was this one time we have a big seminars on drunk driving, right? So we were in the gymnasium, there was a big screen in front of us of other victims who has fallen from the drunk drivers. And most of them were AP honors student or going into university of some sort or have some kind of talent. They can sing really well or draw really nicely or a good athlete, a super football player. Or they could be just a loving son or a loving daughter of someone. And while I was watching that presentation, a friend next to me turned to me and asked, and said something very ironic. She said, "It's funny, right? Because being dead isn't enough." And that struck me as true. Because if there were drunkies on there were drug addicts, there were failed students, and there were the sons and daughter who hates his entire family, would we feel any different? Would there be news about them? Would we feel as sad? Would they matter? It's like we already misunderstood the market value. Somehow it's our values. Or sometimes I like to say that I think capitalism and consumerism kills humanity, and it lets us die slowly but pretty. And it does hurt us too, every day, but we're so unaware of it. It's in our fear of missing out when you look on the social media and all your friends are partying but you. It's in the made-up competitions we have with our coworkers. It's in that notion that we're not working hard enough, therefore we do not have the big mansions millionaires are having. It's in every time we look into a mirror and we wish to be anyone but ourselves. It's in that deep inability to be proud of ourselves without having to accomplish anything big, loud, or glamorous. So in life, you would come across some people that they think they have this solutions for the mental discomfort that you have, to ease this kind of pain that you have. First, they might say, okay, if the society hurts you, then what you need to do is F the society. Just live your life, be independent, do not care about anybody else. And that is impossible. You might try to do it for a day or two, but you know eventually you're gonna fail because that's so unnatural to human being. Human, no matter how grown up we are, we never grown out of the needs and wants to be heard, to be seen, and to be loved. We basically make and create our identity from the actions and reactions we have with other people. We are who we are because we care. So that one option is out of the door. Another way is to always be productive, to push yourself to the limits, always be working harder and harder so that you will get to that point where you want it to be, rich and having a lot of free time to spend. And to me, that is worse. This whole concept of productivity is very clear within the name. You are a product, so at some point you will be measured and valued by these indicators. And it then creates and recreates another generations that will be teaching their kids that they need to earn something first, then they can be heard. So what do we do then? I do not have an answer for this really, but this talk can be a reminder for everyone and also myself that society is not external. We are indeed the society we hate so much. We made up this rule, we condone it, and then we are subjected to it in reverse. So, maybe the cost to be heard should not be so high that along the way up, our child within us dies. And if I do have the opportunity to say something today on stage, I think that fame, money, status, titles, underneath all that, sometimes we are just looking for a little of love, careness, and a little compassion. So at the end of this talk, I want to recall the question we had earlier. Do you think that the stories of everyone is worth listening to? Thank you.